What is up, guys? We're back in another video, and today we have the second part of my advanced Iron Fist guide series. And for this video, I'm going to go through rolling out, which is essentially the optimal routes and positions you could take when on defense. Now, for this video, I'm going to focus on defense, and the next video will be on offense. And I do want to preface it by saying, because you can wall run on pretty much any wall in the game, there's going to be some spots I don't cover, because you can go on any wall in the game and there's so many different spots. I'm going to cover the routes that I take and the spots that I believe are some of the best you can take, and I'm going to cover why I take them, when they work or when they don't work. So I'm going to do every map on defense for this video. So let's jump straight into the first map. So for this first location on defense, there are two spots that I would ever go in. The first spot is up here. Now, sometimes it's a bit difficult to get the spot where you don't have to move. Sometimes I fail to get it, but then I'll just wall run like this. The reason why this spot here is good is because unless they have a Hela or a Hawkeye that is very observant, it's unlikely they will see you. There are very rare situations where I'm behind the wall here and they're pushing up and they actually see me. Wait, actually, I almost got it. Fuck. Right there. It's very, very rare that they will see me in this position unless they're very observant. And even then, this isn't a spot you're reusing all game because it's just in the beginning. So this is generally just the best spot because you could dive their back line and then rotate back to the front line, take damage, go up, and then I would usually end up probably rotating around this area here. Meditate, move back over to the side, hit the tank, see if I can get another dive. Once you use it once, you can't really use it a second time because their team is going to be here. Assuming you win the fight, you could reset up there. But once you actually are engaged here and then you back out, like they'll watch you wall run back up. So then I would rotate around this way. You know, go up here, meditate if I think I have time, and jump right back on the back line. That is the option I would go with. Now, you could, in the start, you could go here, right? Which I do think it could work. This is a spot I've used before. Hang on, there's a place you could stand on. Fuck. Okay, so right here, this spot can be really good if you suspect they're gonna have a Magic or a Black Panther or some kind of flanker. Then this spot could be good. The reason why is because your best chance at winning a 1v1 in a flank against another flanker is if you get the jump on them. If they see you coming, your odds are significantly reduced because this is a huge advantage an Iron Fist has. Very rarely will I lose a 1v1 where I get the jump on them. There's a Magic running, I get the jump, or even a Namor. I get like 2-3 hits off already before they even notice me and get to turn and hit me. Huge advantage, and so this position could also be pretty useful. Another spot I want to mention is if your team is looking for that last fight before they push the point, right here. It's important you're edged over because they will often look over and they might see you if you're like this. There's a huge chance they will see you. So many times my team will be coming over, we're going to have one more fight left, and I'll position myself right here, wait for my team to jump in, and then I'll get a nice, clean dive on their back line. There are really many spots here for you to do that. Like, if you wait in the room there, you won't get the cleanest dive. You may have to extend over. It's not as high. This is usually a very great spot. And it also allows you to punish anyone that pushes through. Maybe there's someone in your team that's here, and their tank pushes through, and you're like, okay, their healers are back there. You get a good view of the area. You could see what's going on. You could see any isolated targets. Maybe someone pushes through here, and you pop your fists, you're like, I'm going to quickly try to take down this tank that's overextending. Bam, they're dead. Then you can just climb back up the wall and push back in. So for the first area on defense, these are the three, I would say, key spots. This pillar here is something that I would often find myself rotating around because it's strong cover. Now, it can break, and when it does break, it sucks because then there's just a huge open area. But this is a strong place if you're brawling and you're fighting, you block, you take damage, rotate around the pillar, because then you can rotate back to then you meditate and you can go straight to their back line. This here is a pillar that you do want to take advantage of when you're in a brawl situation. So again, I want to mention in this area here, there are many different locations you could take, but a very strong position I like to take is the back here. Now, it's useless if your team is bad. If your team is bad and they're fighting back there, this isn't a position you could take. Because there are times where the enemy team pushes up and your team just falls back and crumbles. But this position is pretty good in general because when they get that first point, they will be pushing up and you do have a nice view of their back line uncontested. And as long as you're in a good spot and monitoring where everyone is, you will also be able to kill anyone that comes up through this way. Let's say there's the Hela trying to take a high ground spot here, and your team starts fighting. And you can see the Hela moving through here, and you can catch them alone. This is a very good position. Generally, I don't get caught here. Like, I'll just sit like this, and generally people won't look up. Very rarely do I get caught here. It has happened sometimes. Then you can just block and reposition, right? You can just block and reposition. But that is a very strong spot I like to take. Another spot is here, but it is a little bit more predictable because it's not just for Iron Fist. This isn't a wall run spot, so it's more predictable. But I still do take this position because you could still get a lot of use out of it by simply jumping on their back line, blocking, and then maybe if your team is too far, or maybe you want to jump back in quicker, then you can just go back up here. And then meditate, the team turns back to the front, you get your overhealth, you go back in, you start hitting, get your block back, and you continue. The reason why it's nice to go back up here is you can get back in much quicker. Versus if you kick back to the front line, well, now you got to go all the way around here, and it just doesn't maximize your downtime, right? It doesn't maximize your uptime, which is what you want to be doing, is maximizing uptime. So this right here is another position I do also like to take at the last area here, because again, if you position yourself right, they won't really notice you. And again, it's always about the high ground and the off angles. That's why a lot of my positions are high up, because you want to be able to jump on their healers without them getting the jump on you. So now I'm on their healers, and they didn't see me coming. And that's why it's such a powerful position. So if they've made it much closer to the wall, and you can't really get up here because they're basically right there, don't walk through that main area. Try your best to come through here, because then you get a clean access to their backline. If you go through main, it's going to be difficult. You're going to blow up. They're going to see you when you try to actually reach their backline. It's going to be a lot harder to get a clean entrance. So this final area isn't really the best for Iron Fist because it is quite open. And sadly, there's not a lot of places you could get them by surprise at a high ground. The primary area that you could do it only works near the beginning, and it's up here. And it's all about where they're located. If they're up here, there's nothing you could do. If their team is up, like, you can come from the side and you could still get good pressure. But again, if we're talking purely about key positions, there's no really key positions here when they're at the front, because there's just not a lot of flanking points here for someone like an Iron Fist. But once they move past, this here is a strong route, and there's probably going to be a flanker coming through to your team here. So you can often engage them in the 1v1, which you hopefully should win. But then you can jump their back line, deal some damage, block, whatever, go back up. Maybe you don't need to go back to your front line. Maybe you can rotate around like this, meditate, and go straight back to their back line again. Now, for the final area, there isn't really much besides these pillars, which you can, and I do utilize. It's very often unutilized, but like this. Like this. You're mid-combat and you're about to die. You block. You're dealing damage, whatever. You're about to die. You kick out. 3 seconds on your meditate. Go to the pillar. Go up like this. Get your meditate back. Meditate. Jump back in. That's kind of the key often unused position in this area is these pillars. There's many maps where I do the same thing as well, where there'll be a little pillar that I always run around to avoid angles. Like, I see a Bucky there, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep this angle. I'm in line of their healers, but I'm not in line of their Bucky. The healer's gonna be healing. I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna meditate, get my health back, and then I'll dive the backline again. Maybe they'll chase you over there. Maybe not. It really depends. But there's not a lot of areas here. This is kind of like the end of the line, right? But this is generally a very strong position. Should you need it, but it won't be used that often. There's just not a lot of obvious positions here. So for this next map, this is a domination map, so there isn't really you know, a difference between offense and defense on this map. I'm going to cover these domination maps in this video, though, so they won't be in the next video on offense, because it's the same thing, basically. But I pretty much start off on this map, I start off every time by taking this position here. And what I do is, once I land here, I wait here for a couple seconds first to see if anyone else is coming. Because there's not any, like, jumping spots that you could catch them off guard. It's important if someone comes, you catch them off guard. So sometimes I'll go like this and I'll see a magic, and the magic will go up here. They're going for my backline, but they didn't see me because I'm hiding. So now I'm able to go and get the jump on the magic. That's why I will come and I'll wait a couple of seconds to see in this position here if there is any flankers coming up, because getting the jump on them is very, very important. And if there's no flankers, then I'll just go forward and I'll go straight for the backline. Now, sometimes I'll just jump straight in. Maybe their healers will be right there and the tanks will be up there. I'll just jump straight in. Sometimes they're a bit further back and I'll go to the side and I'll wall run up here and then I'll get to their backline. It really depends. And sometimes they'll be on that side. And so then I'll do the wall running here and I'll go straight for the backline this way. You know, deal some damage, block, maybe go back over right here in line of your team, heal, go back in, blah, 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 whatever rotation you want to do. But that is really the main spot on this map, is taking this position here. I do pretty much every single fight. I will take this position here. Very rarely do I go the left side, because you can't really take advantage of your Iron Fist abilities. The enemy team can see you coming. If you want to go this way, like, it just takes a lot longer. You have to go all the way around here. And then, you know, a namer spots you, like, you just got to go back. And it's not as good to go this way, in my opinion. I pretty much always go the right side. It's just a lot easier to have cover and to avoid line of sight and all these different things. Now, this next position here is a position I take when we're winning and we're pushing them back and we have the jump on them. I will very often, you know, just hang around this area like this. You don't really even need to sit. Like, sure, if you land on the ledge, it's nice, but you don't even really need to sit there. You just hold this position, and you could just kind of have such clear access to their backline. You win the fight, and your team pushed up a bit, and you're just kind of winning. Their team pushes up, you just get a clear access. Maybe you'll spot a flanker. Maybe you'll spot a flanker on that side. You could ping them, you could dive them. It's so important to take these spots that give you sight. Sight to pick your targets, to see what's going on. It is so important on an Iron Fist to see what's going on. It tells you what you're going to do. If you see a flanker there, now you're in a position where you see that flanker. And maybe it's an easy flanker to kill. Maybe it's a Black Panther. And like, if I get the jump on him, then you just go straight for him. Or you see their team pushing in and you see maybe they're split. Maybe you see them splitting. And you're like, oh, I can kill someone here. Like, the healers are on this side. Hela's over here going for a flank on this side, taking an angle. You go in, you're going to land the kill on the Hela. She's alone. You get a jump on her. She's dead. Unless you fuck up badly, but you're probably going to land the kill. Or you just want to, just like normal, just dive the back line. There's so many reasons why this position up here is a very valuable spot. So for this next map, I pretty much always take this flanking route every single time. Now, the reason why I like to do it is because you can catch a flanker alone if they're going this way, because they won't be in line of their healers, especially if you catch them in the midway point here, and then you can kill them. Second reason is it is such a clear access to their backline. You could go in, you could hear and listen to what's there. If their whole team is here, maybe wait, maybe see where your team is. Now, if you hear them pushing out, and then you can hear like the cloak and dagger up front a bit, push in, they won't even hear you because they'll be up here, and you get a clear access to their backline. And it's so important on this map because this map here is wonky as fuck. No one likes it. It's very spread out. Their tanks might be down there. Their DPS might be down there. They might have a cloak up here in an angle healing, and you get a clear jump on them. Or you'll go this way and they'll be down low. And you'll go and you'll get a clear jump on their backline behind the wall in cover. It is so important to get a good flanks on this map because it's wonky, because of the verticality. It's a lot easier for Iron Fist. I find this map is pretty good for Iron Fist because of often their team isn't in good positioning to actually peel. And that's why your flanking routes are so strong. Like, so many times I'll flank a cloak here and they'll have to bubble themselves right away. Right away, because the rest of the team is up there. Way up there. And I'm flanking the cloak. She's bubbled. She's flying away. I go on the Luna. Now the Luna pops her thing, and now their team turns. I go like this, and then you have so many options of where to go. You could go down here and then go back up. There's so many places you can go. Taking that backline route, it is so important. Again, there's not really many positions on these domination maps because it's all in one little area. But for every map, there's like 1 to 2 spots that are extremely important. So the second spot that I always take is right here outside their spawn. I take the position exactly up here. So these are the 2 spots I use every single time I'm on this map. The flanking route over there and this spot here, because it always allows you to get the jump on them when they're coming for the first time. So their team jumps out the window, right? Their healer stays up there. Now you got the jump on them. And they don't even see you coming. Every time it works. I do not remember the last time a DPS or someone else spotted me in this position. Almost never happens. Like, they will never look up. Because think about their position when they're coming out. They're coming out like this. They're not going to just... No one does that, right? No one does that. And so you always get the jump on them. Now, if they come through this door here, it is also good because you get clean access to their backline again. Jump on their backline. Maybe their tanks have just jumped down. Now you have even cleaner access to their backline. And so that position there is something I always take, and I think you should always take it too. There really isn't a better spot than this when it comes to you winning the first fight or winning a fight and you're waiting for them to come back. There really isn't a better position. Like, if you want to go over here, like, I really don't like this because you don't really have clean access to their backline. This is only good if they have a flanker coming through. It's just not that great of a spot. That right there is your best spot. So for this next map, I pretty much always go this way here. Now, it can be tricky, and you need to be careful, because, again, there's really only 2 ways you can go, which is over there or over here. Both sides have their ups and their downs, but the most important thing you're watching out when you're coming this way is for flankers and their team. There's a chance your team is taking center, and 3 people come this way. Now, you will arrive quicker, assuming you use your kick and your mobility. Then I will just go, and I will go up here. And then because their team came through here, I can now take a position, right? That is what I will do. Because if they have 3 or 4 people coming through here, you can get up quicker and take a position on them, waiting for them to come through. You could sit up here. Maybe you'll come out, and 3 of them will be out here. Because 3 went there, 3 went here. There's lots of things you could do. This is a weird map where there's no clear way to go, and it very much depends, because you could go this way here, but I don't really like going this flanking route. Reason why is it's a lot. It takes a lot longer to get a position, and you have less cover. They could see you easily, and like you have to jump out in the open into wall. Like now they all see you, right? You come out here, now they all see you. You're gonna wall run, but they're gonna shoot you. You lose your opener. Here, you know, it takes a lot longer to go all the way around, and then you start low. You know, you go in, and it's viable, sure, but it's not my preferred route. My preferred route is to go up here. Is to go up here and take a position, because you get a much clearer view of what's going on. Maybe their team is here. In that case, I didn't need to go up. I could have just continued going this way, right? Maybe I could have continued going this way and picked a healer off right here because they're behind. Or their team is already in, they're pushing in, their healers are up there. You can go through here and you have the cover here. This is what's so important the other side doesn't have, is you have this cover here. Because here, you don't have it. Here, you have this cover. You could go and you could take this cover and you could use it to go unseen to their backline right here. And this side, you don't have it. You are as clear as day. You are an open turkey. You are so easy to shoot over here. You just have more options taking the right side. Again, there's no clear spot per se with the entrance route. There's no clear spot. There's just a rough pathing you should take. I'm trying to show like what the options are because there's no clear spot because it really depends on where they're going. There's isn't a clear route here. But what there is a clear spot for is once you've secured the first point or you've killed them, I always take this spot up here. Right up here. Because they never ever see you up here. They never see you, and you get a clear jump on them. They start pushing through, you get a clear jump on their backline. It is a very good spot. The next spot you could take as well is up here. This is if your team is pushing forward, if your team is holding an upwards position. Because sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll hold a backwards position. In that case, up there is better. But if your team is holding a frontal position, this is a strong spot. Because again, Then they start pushing, your team moves back, you dive their back line. And it's also good because you could stay like this and keep an eye on up here. Sometimes someone will walk through, let's say a Hela or a Namor. You know, now you can just jump straight on them. And their team is over here. They're going to have to move back in. Now you push them back, you can block, and then you go back to the front line, do your rotation, maybe move back up here. You get a lot of flexibility with these positions. And that's kind of it for primary positions and routes on this map. So for this next map, I will say I find this map to be very hard for Iron Fist. There's so much open ground. It's rough, I will say that. Because there's really only one route you could take here. I'd never go main. And this route is risky as fuck. It just depends on a lot of things. You could have 2 people come through here. You're alone. You could have your whole team come through here. Now you have no flank. But your whole team could go main. And then their whole team could come through here. And now you're in a bad spot. Because maybe they'll reach there at the same speed as you. Now you have to go all the way back and reset. Or push through here and maybe even die. So if you see their whole team coming and you're alone, the problem is then you have to back up and lose time. But what I would do is if I see their whole team coming through, I'm going to back up and wait. And then I will take a flank route behind them. Because often if you go like this, no one's really going to come down this way. They're going to go through main and then you can come and take your flank. That's what I will do if their whole team comes this way. Now, if their whole team doesn't come this way and they go main, well then you can just get a free spot here, you know? You scout it out, see where they're going. If they're going up the high ground here, again, this map kind of sucks for Iron Fist. If you go main, you don't really have any flanking routes. If you go this way, you don't really have any strong flanking routes. If you want to go around, going through there will take you a while. You're going to be out of the fight. It's going to take you a while. It's bad for uptime. But if they're going up here, like, you're just going to have to jump in. There's not much you could do. Like, the moment you go out, they're going to shoot you. It really just sucks. And once you're low and you're in combat, there's not really many places you could go. You have to go back here. Maybe go around a pillar. But your healers might be in weird positioning because it's a big area. It really sucks. It doesn't mean you can't do well in this map. Obviously, I've had games where I've done exceptionally well on this map. It's just not an ideal map for Iron Fist. There's only one key position, I would say, that would be universal for every time I play this map. And it's this right here. I mean, it's kind of a given. You probably already know this, but this is the spot you want to go pretty much every time. Now, if they go that way, I would rotate to here. If you see them going up there, then you take this spot here. If you see them coming through here or portaling there, I'd rotate to here. Because now you have a good spot. You know, it's a good rotation. You can jump on them still. But most likely, they're going to come through here. You get a nice position. You know, you could do your block, jump straight into your ult. You know, there's many things you could do. Jump their backline. This is like your ideal spot. So for this next map, I pretty much always take the right side flank. Or if you're on that side of the map, I guess it'd be left. I pretty much always go this way. And then depending on how quickly I get there, there are 2 positions I'll take. Number 1 is I might sit here for a moment. If, for whatever reason, I was delayed on me getting here, I'll go this way and see if anyone comes up. Because sometimes someone will come up, and I would like to see them before they see me. It's important. But if I'm going at a quick speed and I get here first, I will always go up here, and then like this, just for a moment to see if anyone comes down. If no one comes down, I'll continue to the left, because there are many times that no one comes up this way. So if nobody does come up this way, I'll immediately wall run over here and take the high position like this. Very rarely do I get seen up here if no one's taking the flanking route. Sometimes the team will, like the enemy team will come and they'll be down there, which this means this position is still good for you because you could jump and get the jump on their backline like this. More often than not, they'll just come main. You know, you go like this, you get your position, and then you see, you know, you're up here. You could see your targets. You have a great vantage point. Okay, their tank's up there. Maybe their healers are far back. Maybe you're like, I'm not going to do much on the healers, but I'll try anyway. Or maybe you're like, you know what? Their DPS aren't really going to hit me for whatever reason. I'm going to jump straight on the tank. And you start hitting the tank and maybe you land the kill. That's pretty much it for this map. There isn't really, like, that's kind of it. But I guess Okay, right. No, there is 2 more spots I'll mention. The next spot is up here, which is after you win the first fight. Is I always sit up here. Sometimes I'll chill on the pillar for whatever reason, but they can break it down. Just sit here, and when they run through, you get your jump on them. That's pretty much it for that spot. Next is these pillars. Make use of the pillars. I told you before in one of the previous maps, these pillars are on multiple maps for you to use. They're pretty good because you're like this. You see them coming through. You know, you could jump on them. It's a great, especially for retreating mid-combat. Mid-combat so many times, you know, I'll be fighting a tank. I'll block, you know, fighting a tank. I get low. I'll jump around, and I'll go straight up here. Straight up here. I'll meditate. Get my health. Maybe I'm low. Now I'm full health. And then I'll go this way. I'll jump to the next pillar and then jump on their back line. You make use of these pillars. Always make use of the pillars. And that is it for this map, pretty much. Again, so for this next map, there isn't really much to look at here besides this route, which I pretty much always take without fail. By the way, one little trick you don't have to do, but I do like to do, is when you do go this way, sometimes someone else will be coming this way. You'll see them over there, or maybe you don't see them and they're about to come. I always just wall run up here just in case. It's not very high, and they'll likely see you, but it does give you that little bit of advantage. It's just a little trick. Also, when you wall run, you move quicker than walking speed. Look at how fast you go when you're walking, versus when you're wall running, you just go way quicker. And then I'll jump to the wall here, and I'll get a high vantage point like this. That is how I will start pretty much every game on this map. Sometimes someone will walk through here, sometimes they won't. But the important thing is you have the high ground now. You can see what's going on. You know, their tanks push up, and then you move around like this. You start kicking to check the angles. You know, checking angles, checking what's going on, seeing when you're going to jump in, parrying your engagement. That's kind of what you're doing here. Then you can just jump in, whatever, start attacking, and do whatever thing you want to do. And honestly, there's not really... I never really take a position in here unless we're like really slapping them. Then sometimes I will go up here. This is not bad of a spot, somewhere around up here, because when you win the first fight, you do get a clear entrance on their back line. Again, it's not the best spot, but it does work, I would say. Like, this is a viable spot that I do sometimes use after the first fight is over and we've won or we've just cleared them. This is a spot I very often will take. So for the next map on defense, particularly in this starting area here, there are 2 positions that I think are the most valid. First one, this is okay and this works. Ideally, what you'd want to do is if you're going to go for the back line from this position, what I do is I jump over here, wall run up here, and then go for the back line like this. This is valid and this works. Again, all situational, depends on what you're fighting, where your team is placed, and all that stuff. Another very valid position that I do tend to take more often is right here. The reason why is because you get direct access to any flankers. Let's say a Namor or someone comes to flank, you get immediate flanking action on their flankers. Versus if you're up there, you don't really get that because like you don't have range. They're gonna see you. They might even shoot you. Like if there's a Psylocke that comes through here, they might even shoot you, or a Hela. You can't, like, let's say a Hela walks through here. They're just going to shoot you. And so I do find myself taking this position more often because you still do get backline access if nobody comes. You just go up the wall right here and bam, you're on their backline. So I do find myself taking this position much more often than I do this one. So the next position is this big building here that I'm pretty sure almost every Iron Fist uses and every Iron Fist knows, but I'm still going to mention it because of how obvious and useful it is. Now, because of how obvious it is, there are times where they will catch you, and you need to be aware of that, especially if they have a Hela or a Hawkeye or anyone that's really observant of an Iron Fist player and where they're going to be going. It's a pretty easy position for them to realize if they really look. But I do find that most games, it works pretty well, and they don't see you. But this is generally what I will use for this entire area here, is I will use that big building for pretty much this entire area here. Sometimes I'll use this area here, but not really. It really just depends if I need to get there quickly or whatever. Like, it's a valid area here. Like, that's a valid area too, but generally I will use the big building. Another spot I like to take is right up here, because this is a spot they almost never see you in. And It's great when, you know, they're pushing through this area here. You get up to here, and you just take a position like this because they never really expect you to come from up here, nor do they ever look up here. So the team pushes, they start engaging, and then bam, direct access to their backline. It's a very strong position which you can actually extend forward more. And I do use this position for offense too, but when you're on defense, like you can even push forward a lot more depending on where the team fight is happening. Like, so you can go pretty far on this edge here, even all the way up here. If you're really pushing them back, you can just kind of keep going with it. And it also goes without saying that this building right here is a position I take pretty much all the time. You know, you just jump down, you get direct access to their backline. Pretty obvious and standard position for most Iron Fist players. The last spot you can really take that's an advantage point is this right here, when the cart's like right there and you just win the fight and you're expecting them to come through, or the team fight's happening and they're pushing through. This right here is a strong position. It allows you to get a nice flank on them. And yeah, actually, there is kind of, I guess, one more you could talk about. Again, these pillars. The pillars, again, I mentioned every map, but the pillars are so useful. Mid-fight, you're taking damage, you're dying, you push away, you know, you get a nice position up here. You know, I fell there like an idiot. You get up here, you meditate, and then you just jump straight back to their backline, and bam, around their backline. Again, always make use of the pillars. Guys, so for the next map, there are two strong positions to start off that I like. The first one is on this tower here, and I make sure you sit on this side. You could do this side, but the problem is not only could they maybe see you, but if there's a Star-Lord or a Thor, anyone tries to come up here, they'll see you right away. Many times where, let's say they come up here, they just don't see you if you're on that side, and then they just go like this. So if you're gonna come to this like little tower thing, whatever the fuck it's called here, you want to sit on this side like this with your camera like this, so you can see if anyone comes up here. Sometimes you can engage them, sometimes not. If they don't see you, then you can just jump their back line. But this is generally a pretty good position. They don't always come up here, so when they don't, you just get free reign. Like, no one's really going to shoot you up here if they don't come up here already, because they're all going to be in main. You can just chill here. Another spot that does work, but it's not my first choice, it's my second choice, which is right here. The reason it's not my first choice is, again, let's say a Star-Lord or someone goes up there. Well, now they see you and you're kind of far, right? They see you and they have the distance on you. They're gonna have to shoot you and you gotta go down, and it's just not very ideal, but it does work. The spot does work, but the best spot, in my opinion, is right here. So the thing is with this map is, like, I'm sure you guys can tell, there's so many different positions that you could be in because there's so many buildings. It's hard to give, like, it's impossible to cover all of them. Like, if they're coming through main, like, you could really come from any side. There's so many different, like, you can go up here, you can jump down, you can go that way. There's so many different places you could go. There's not really, like, honestly, there's not really a specific spot that I think of off the top of my head running defense on this area. You know, there's just too many different spots. But once they reach this point here, this here is a nice spot I like to stay in. Somewhere around, like, right here. Because if they come from top, you see them before they see you. And you can also jump down and hit their back line. Once they move past that area, though, my next spot would be the roof up here. I like to stay over here, because if they have a flanker, you'll be able to catch them. Because so many times a Namor will go this way, or a Star-Lord will go this way to your back line. So if you're, like, maybe like this, you could see them coming up and catch them off guard. You know, stuff like that. Just be cautious of where, like, if maybe they don't have really any flankers that could get up here, then you can just chill here. Wait till they move forward, you know, scout out a target, look where your team is, you know, take your pick. Again, you could probably do the same thing on that rooftop there. Like, there's just a lot of, like, you could do the same thing here. Like, this area is just very, very good for Iron Fist. There's too many fucking places you could go to that are good that it's hard for, like, I can point out a few, but there's just too many that are viable, right? So on defense in the final area, I always like to go up here. Right up here. And so again, you know, you're up here. Once they start walking through, you can just jump straight down on their back line, and they'll never see you. Once again, solid position. And you can also, with this position, catch any flankers if they try to go up here. Immediately jump on them. Let's say they run in, they go up the thing. Well, you're on the wall. They don't see you. You see them. You wait till they walk in a bit, so they're outline side the healers, and you jump on them. Bam, bam, bam. Execute. Solid position. Once they reach near the end, or they're pushing this way, try to stay in the high ground. Maybe like this if they're pushing the corner so they really don't see you. This is a nice spot right here. As soon as they start pushing the corner, you can they will not just look up vertically all of a sudden. You can go like this and get a free access to their back line. Just remember, always stick to whatever high ground you can. Get that vantage point, get that off angle. Get them when they don't expect you and stuff like that. Now, one thing people need to remember is there is a... why is it not here? Oh, I don't think it opens up until until the cart gets to the last point. But there is normally a hole here you can go through. Which could be very, very useful if you see someone flanking, you see someone there and you want to get them at an angle. You know, you come like this, you go through the hole here and you jump on them. So keep in mind that hole is very underutilized a lot of the time. So for this map here, people very often like to take this position here. And it's not bad. It works. Primarily, its function is preventing other flankers. But it's not very effective if no flankers come here, or multiple flankers come and you can't really defend it, because it's very easy for you to not be able to defend it, or bad healers on your team to not heal you. Maybe you'll have healers that are looking over there to their tank and you're pinging and you're taking damage to a Hela and you have to back up and then they gain the high ground. It's good for preventing someone else to take land here and to hold this high ground. But many times I'll have, like, let's say there's a Namor on your team. I'm not going to go here. I'm going to go in a better position for me. Because this is good if you have no one else who can cover this spot. Many times I'll have a Loki, and a Loki can cover the spot very well because they put, like, 2 clones here, plus their clone. If someone walks through, the Loki's going to crush them. And then you have healers that are lining the Loki as well, plus DPS there. Really, they're not going to be able to do anything anyways. Now, there are times where it's good and it's better to go here. But the spot I do like the most is usually either right here, or if I'm feeling really risky, right here. And the reason why I like these spots is because you get much easier access to their backline. From this position over there, like, if you want to get to their backline, you have to go all the way around. It takes a long time, and you really lose a lot of uptime. Let's say their team is rushing through main pretty quickly, and I'm right here. Let's say a Hela tries to get a position up here. Well, she has no healers in her line of sight. I will jump straight on that Hela without her noticing. I'll be the first one. She won't expect it. I'll jump straight in on her and get the jump. Now, it is right in front of her, so I'll probably get one hit before her. But one hit into a block. You know, she birds back. You follow with your kick. She's dead. But not just that. It's so you can also jump the back line, which is over here. You know, go down, jump the back line. You get direct access. Now, if they do go up this way, which they do sometimes, what I often do is I move out and I simply go up the wall. Because their whole team's in there. Sometimes there'll be someone out here, but if they're out here, then they're alone. Just jump them and kill them. Your team will probably help you, because if they're in main alone, that's stupid. You can just kill them. But I'll run out and I'll jump and I'll take this spot up here and I'll see what's going to happen. Maybe they'll push up to the front and then I'll go and I'll dive their backline here. But overall, that's a very nice spot I like to take. I do like to sit at this spot up here only when we're really pushing them back and we have a strong advantage. Again, like, it's so close to their spawn, but it's a spot I often find myself taking in games where we're dominating. Like, along the wall here, something like this in this area, so they don't really notice you, and then as they jump, you can jump their back line. But once they move to the middle area, obviously, I think everyone knows about this one. The ledge right here, it's pretty perfect. Like, they can't shoot you, they can't hit you. You can defend against other people coming up, and you can jump them pretty easily. It's a solid spot. There will often be flankers that try to get their way up here, so it'll be your job to protect that. Maybe if you have a Hela on your team, they could also help you, but you also, you know, get a nice view of up there to make sure no flankers are coming around. So the next spot that really stands out to me is right up here for when they're pushing through main. Sadly, you can't sit on it, but you can just hold like this and wait till they push through and then just dive down. Now, you could also hold a position up here to prevent flankers. This is pretty common. I'm pretty sure every Iron Fist goes to this area. But it could be pretty difficult depending on who comes through here, whether they're in line with their healers. They could sit there. They could sit here in line of their healers. They're getting healed and they're shooting you. Meanwhile, if you want to hit them, you have to go out of line of your healers. Not to mention, you could get picked off in here because there's many ways for the enemy to shoot you. Very easy for them to come in and support. Now, this isn't a bad spot. It's not a bad spot. I do often take this route here because sometimes it's just quicker. Like maybe they're over there and you're coming through here and you're like, okay, I'm going to go through this way, right? I'm going to go through here and I'm going to jump their back line. That's fine. I'm just talking about when the setup, you know, let's say you're coming through this way and they're a bit further back. Let's say they're over there where my camera's pointed. Then, you know, you're not really going to dive their back line. That's going to be overextending. Your team's over here. You're just going to come over here, wait for them to move through a bit, and then go down and like this and just dive their back line. Something like that. It's pretty useful to use that position up there. You can use this position, but it's just about a matter of when to use each one because they're both useful in their own situations. For the last area, there's really it's just up high wall running spots, like up here when they're going through the main area, and then if they're coming through this area, this wall here. That's really kind of it. There's nothing else for you to really do in here besides hold these two upper positions and to get your jump on them from there. So for this next map, people often say this isn't very good for Iron Fist, and the final stages and the final area is not very good because it's so open, but the beginning is actually quite good. And the starting position I like the most, I'd never ever see Iron Fist take this position, is right fucking here. I think this is an amazing spot. At times I've gone here, but it's not as good because it's a lot easier for them to see you if a flanker comes through. The reason why I like this so much is because you will get the jump on any flanker that comes through. Namor comes through, Magic comes through, and you see if it's a Namor with a healer back in, or let's say it's two people, you know you can't engage that. You will die here alone if you engage two people here. So you see them go through, you ping them, so now your team knows there are two flankers here. And you listen for footsteps to hear the enemy team. Now you can go for their backline while their two flankers are moving. You see their flankers going away, and now you go for their backline. You ping them, now you jump their backline. Now it's really important when you're here that you actually have sound on. This only works if you have sound on because you need to hear the footsteps of the enemies, and so you're not late to the engagement. Because it's hard to tell where they are sometimes when you're here. And so your team might start fighting, and there might be a flanker still coming through, but you don't know this yet. So it's important to have footsteps on, and when you hear the enemy team going up and you hear no footsteps approaching, there's probably no flankers. You go down and you start moving your way like this. You know, check the okay, no flankers. I'm gonna go then, and then their mantis. Now they're all up a little bit, and now you get a nice flank on them. Nice flank, jump, deal some damage, block. So you need to go up and you go back down. You know, kick back to the front, hit the tanks. Behind the wall, I often find myself meditating behind this wall. Meditate, you know, just jump back up, you know, right on them. Do whatever your rotation is going to be there. The second spot here is that also works, but it's more so when they're pushing up more. Like, you know, your team's being pushed back, or the fight, like now they know, like you already opened initially, you maybe landed a kill, whatever happened. You push back and you know they're going to start to push through, but you don't have time to like get all the way around there. You know, you don't have time for that. You know, you think they're about to start pushing in aggressively. You know, you're like, okay, I'm gonna get into a nice position here, blah 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 blah, up here, and then they start pushing through. I'm on their back line, something like that. So this right here is another powerful position I like to take, especially when we're really pushing them back here. I love this spot, and I'm almost always taking this position pretty much every game. And if we're really pushing them back, I will extend it to around right here. Like the door opens and you can just kind of sit here. This is another spot I will take when we're really pushing them back, because then they start pushing through, dive their backline again, you wipe them, you go back, you reset, and you keep up the pressure like that. For this next area here, there isn't really a lot of obvious spots, except like this is one of the only spots I'll really go to, because all of this, it's there's no clear area. Like I guess you could go up here and then get a flank on them, but like they might have someone there that shoots you when you come out. It's just not the best spot. This right here is a very nice spot up here, because like you're pretty well hidden, I'd say. They don't really see you. No one really looks up here, and you can get a nice flank even on someone who's up here. You just immediately jump on them. They start running back to the healers. You execute, they're dead. You know, it's a very solid spot. So for the next area, there aren't many strong, obvious positions that are like. There's positions that are best, but they're just not that great in general. Like here is a pretty nice spot because you can see with your camera where they are, and without being shot at. Also, you can see potential flankers coming through. Now, it's not a good position to attack flankers. primarily because of how close they are to their healers, and it's just not there's just not a lot of cover. It's just not easy if you use an Iron Fist in this area. There's no vertical advantage you can get. One of the most important things on Iron Fist is vertical advantage, the height. That's what your wall running is best for. It's kind of hard to do that here. Like, you could take positions like this, but they're only good at the start. And most of your time in this zone will not be up here. It'll be in areas that are down here. And, like, up here is a good spot, but it's kind of finicky. It's hard to maintain it. And you can't hit them when they're in there when you're up here. You can go for the back line. But it's a difficult area because when you go for their back line here, like, where are you going to retreat to? You know, you take damage, you have to go back to your front line, but there's no cover. You're going to get blown up pretty quickly. You go to the left, but it's like there's not a lot of strong cover here. In general, it's not a good area for Iron Fist, but you can make it work by I guess, navigating properly around this thing. It's just you want to be careful not to have too little uptime as you go around because your team could wipe before you do anything. This next area here, you want to abuse this tree. You really do, because this tree is the only advantage you're going to get in this area. And so if you're coming from this, if they're around the tree and you're coming from this side on defense, you want to go up the tree, go around. They're not going to see you. And here's your vertical advantage on their healers. But that's once they get past this here, which is probably one of the hardest places for Iron Fist in the game, is this area here. Besides that one domination map. Once you get past it, you could use the tree pretty well. But it doesn't help that much once they get past the tree and you're coming out through here. Then there's just really anywhere to go, to be honest. Like, you can go for a flank, but you have no vertical advantage. You can get shot here. Isn't much you can do. You'll just have to do whatever you want based off where they are and whatever. You just kind of have to go straight in here. There's no real strong flanking route for an Iron Fist here. But up until they get past the tree, you want to be using the tree because you do have a very strong vertical advantage. So for the next map, now on this map, if I'm being honest, I don't think it's that bad for Iron Fist, but I just don't like it. I really don't like this map for Iron Fist. It's just not fun for me for whatever reason. It's just weird. It just feels like a weird map because there's just not enough verticality in different sections. It feels like especially when you get to the middle area, it feels like it gets really tight. But at least, okay, so to start off on defense, this is a position you could take. Now you are leaving your back line in that flanking route exposed. But generally, nobody comes up here, so you do have this area to go for their healers pretty easily. You could also wall run. This is also a viable option, because if you're like this, nobody's going to look up to shoot you. You could very easily sit here, ping whoever's going towards the back line, and then kind of assess if maybe their tanks overextend, because you could see a lot from here. You can assess, okay, their tanks are going up. Maybe a tank or someone goes in there alone, and you know you can jump on them. Or maybe a healer, an Invis woman goes. You see an Invis woman going up there, and the Luna's over there. And you're like, you know, I'm gonna take out the Invis woman. So it's pretty good to take that position up here, which is solid. Now you could also go here, but I would never go here if I'm alone. If I'm alone, I'm just gonna lose. I won't be able to hold this because the reason why you go here is to hold this high ground. Chances are more than one enemy is going to come up here. So if you're alone, I wouldn't hold this spot because you're not going to be able to hold it. Two people come up, you block, you have to back out. Now they gain control. They have access to your backline. You're not going to hold it if you're the only person here. But if you have a tank with you or someone else with you, I'd consider it a lot more holding this point because it could be more valuable. There's not many spots in this area here besides this. This is really the only spot. And it's not even that great because you can't go that high. And if they go up from there, they'll see you. So this is the only spot I really have that's decent. It does work. I do it pretty often, but this is really the only sweet spot you get as an Iron Fist in this area. Like, this is a pretty shitty spot over there because you'll go through on the ground level and they'll shoot you. There's just not a lot of verticality here that you can abuse. Like, maybe you could use this area here, but it really depends because they just need to, like, you're not as high. Now, it does work. This area is an option, but it's only when they get closer and you're probably have easier access to just walking through there. It really depends because if you're on defense, you're coming through, you might not be able to get over there because this is on the opposite side. If you died and your team wiped and you're coming back, you're not going to go all the way over here just to then be able to go up. It's just going to waste time. So the next spot on defense is right here. I pretty much do this spot every single time I'm on this map because it's just the only, it's like it's just the obvious good spot to go to. You know, it's again making use of verticality. You could see literally everything from it. You could see flankers coming from the left. You could see literally everything. You could see all the enemies, where they're coming from. It's a perfect scouting position to look at targets. Maybe someone jumps up there and they're alone, and you're like, oh, there's a Psylocke up there going for my backline. Bam, 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 bam. They run away, get the execute, you know, block, you go back. It's a great spot to be in, and if there's no flankers, no nothing, your team starts pushing. You also get direct access to their backline. Bam, on the healer, maybe push in the corner, killer, blah, blah, blah. Great spot to be in. This area here is where it does get kind of rough for Iron Fist, because there's no real flanking positions you can get. Like, especially once they win a team fight, you can't really surprise them. Let's say the enemy team's right over... Come on, stop pinging the thing. Let's say they're coming down the stairs there, and you're coming back from a team wipe. They're going to see you no matter where you come from. You go to the left, it's extraordinarily obvious. They're going to shoot you. They're going to see you, they're going to shoot you. Same thing if you go on the right side. You know, you go up this way. You can hold this, but you're hoping they push in. Like, if they're there and your team wants to fight them there, like, you have to go all the way around. Like, now look, they're fighting right now. I'm still coming. They're fighting. You're still going. It takes you way too long to get around. And then by then, maybe they've pushed up more. Like, you just waste so much time doing that. So there's no real sweet positions here. You just gotta jump into the fight and find the right spot based off whatever fight you're in. This final area here does have quite a few good positions. Again, depending on whether these buildings are built or not. Right now, they're broken down. But when it builds up, you could wall run it. But for now, I usually take this spot up here. Hold this position, wait till they come through. Again, you can see you can see whatever angle they're coming from. You can see all the enemies. You have a perfect bird's eye view. Jump on whatever targets you want. If you don't want to jump, they won't even shoot you. You're perfectly hidden. Let's say you start pushing forward. You know, you have this building here. You could stay on. Again, this is also a decent position. You know, they can't really hit you here. If they go through here, you can jump on them as well. This is also a decent position. You can catch flankers. You can stay hidden behind the wall, wait till flankers come up, and then you can capture them. A lot of nice spots in this area for Iron Fist. Once they make it near the end, really the only setup position you're looking for is up here. It's a nice wall running spot. You can even go around. Again, this building will be rebuilt. You can go around with the wall running. They won't see you because you have a high position. This is again a pretty decent spot. Yeah, up here is a pretty decent spot. You can go around. They still probably won't see you up here, and you can just jump down and get their backline. Alright guys, so for the last map, there is a spot that pretty much every flanker kind of universally sits in, which is this tower. Now, maybe it's because I'm in a high rank, but I have found, I imagine in low ranks, or in the middle ranks even, you could probably get away with the spot pretty easily. But usually, I have found that people actually check this spot fairly often. It's just so common for not just, because it's not an Iron Fist exclusive spot. Flankers very often sit here. And so I have found that people check this kind of often. Even then, it is a pretty decent spot, but it's not ideal. Because you do get direct access to their backline, yes. But you can achieve the same thing with the position over here that also lets you protect your own backline. Because when you're over there, you can see people going for your backline and ping them and whatever, but one spot I really like is up here. The reason why is because they won't see you, just like the tower, and they won't shoot you. But you also have vision of your own backline, and you've just much better, I guess, range of coverage. Because when you're on the tower, like, you're so far in the back, versus here you can kind of get them anywhere. Let's say there's a Spider-Man, a Venom, a Magic, anything really coming for your backline, you can immediately see it and be like, okay, their healers are over there. I'm going to jump that Venom, and I'm going to do a lot of damage. Then I'll just come back right back to the spot. Venom will leave, come right back to the spot. Now your team's backline's free. And then, again, you're fully protected. You jump down on anyone you want. And you can also cover this area here, which is a popular flanking spot. Is people will come up this bridge, walk through here, and try to flank your backline. Which you get also, you have vision of when you're up here. They won't see you, but you'll see them. You know, you could sit here like this. You know, they'll come through. You see them coming through. You know, okay, I'm going to jump them. Bam, 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 bam. You're protecting your backline. So overall, I do like that spot the most. So for this area here, like this just entire area here, not a lot of flanking positions that abuse verticality. Because you don't really have anything to wall climb, really. Like, you could hang out over here, which I do find is probably one of your best spots, is like up here. Because you could you not only are you in cover, but you actually have access to their flankers. Any flankers come this way, you can dive them. They don't see you. It's a pretty powerful spot, and then you can just move around, you know, jump and get access to their backline pretty easily. So that right there is a pretty powerful spot. And besides that, like all these other ones, like yeah, you could sit here and then go up like this, then jump straight to their backline. But it doesn't abuse verticality. It's higher risk. It's just not as good, although it still works. You know, you could chill somewhere like this. This also works. There's a lot of spots in this area. Like, particularly here and here, there's a fair number of spots that you could abuse in these different locations. But as you move more this way, again, it's basically the same building. You want to just use this building here. You know, abuse verticality. But it's going to be difficult when you're coming back from death, because there's nowhere really you can go coming back from death. Like, you're coming back from a wipe, your team's going through here. There's no route you can take from here that gives you the angle. There's no setting up. There's no area. The team's coming from here. There's not much you could really do. Maybe you could go around this way, but they might see you and probably spot you. But it could... Oh, and you can't even go back here. Yeah, you can't even go back there. Like, there's not too much you could do coming back from the spawn. But that's your primary area, is this kind of tower right here. And that building as well. Those are the main areas you have. So once they get to this area here, especially when this tower rebuilds, probably one of the hardest spots for Iron Fist. Like, there's positions you could hold up here, but that's not until they actually move forward. Like, you need a lot of patience, because it's really difficult if you actually get a good angle on them. It's just such an open area. Harder on offense than it is on defense, though. Defense is a little bit easier. Like, you could go up these staircase on defense, like, or through there, and then make your way over here. But overall, you're going to be pretty slow taking these flanking routes. It's just not the best area. Defense is okay, but offense is where it gets really difficult. Because this wall here will be rebuilt, so you can't really, like, sit on here like this. But there's just not too many obvious positions, I guess, here. It really depends on where they're coming from, what kind of flankers they have. But going through here is also an option. Going for their back line, but it does take a little bit of time, but it's not too bad. And then you go up here, and you jump their back line, so that is also an option, but it's just the rotation in and out isn't very good. Like, you take damage, and then, like, where are you going to go? You know, you're gonna go back up here, out of line of sight your whole team, you know, go heal. It takes you a while to get up here. It's difficult to get out of this area once you jump on the staircase because it's so open. But at least this area here, if they make it this far, it is a bit better because you have this wall to abuse. And then once they jump down, you jump on them, push them back, take some damage, move over, you know, get behind this pillar. You have this nice pillar, and you can go back up to the wall, climb again for that vantage point. And that's kind of it for this map. And I think this was the last map. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on the bell for notifications to see when my next video is. Then my next guide video will be on offense, all the same maps, but on offense. So stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, take care.